Hello and welcome to Under the Heat Lamp podcast. This week we're talking about those online tyrants known as Yelp reviewers and Yelp reviews. With me today are my three homeboys, Don.
Hello there.
David.
Hello.
And George.
Hey.
So, George, I think this was your idea, right? Yelp reviews?
Yeah, this is my suggestion.
Why don't you start us off? What's a Yelp review? What's Yelp?
I'm sure everyone knows the website Yelp, like reviewing, mostly for restaurants and like bars and stuff. But I think the reason I wanted to bring it up for the podcast was there is a very big sense of entitlement and just a very interesting kind of aura around the whole thing. And I think it would be quite funny to take a deeper look into it and see what these people are like.
So maybe a good place to start is asking if any of you have ever written a Yelp review.
No. Yelp's not so much. I don't think it's as big of a thing in the UK. So I guess people would turn to Trustpilot over here a bit more.
Have you written a
or like
review?
TripAdvisor, maybe.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I've written a Yelp review.
Yeah,
Really?
I swear you have before. I remember you saying about it a while ago.
Was it positive or negative?
Dude, I think the only reason I'd write a review is because it was negative.
Yeah, well, I guess that's like a good point to try and make, right? Is why would you write a Yelp review?
Well, because when you're pissed and you want to hurt the restaurant. Like, I remember I went to this restaurant and it was like really expensive, and it was in Chile, and I had like an eggs Benedict, and it was fucking disgusting. The sauce was like horrible; it tasted like vinegar, and I felt so sick afterwards. Like, I remember I had to just sit on a bench afterwards, and it was like 4 or 5 times the normal price of a meal in Chile, and I was so mad. I wrote a review. Actually, thinking about this on Facebook, and I wrote a review, and they somehow I think they reported it and it got deleted.
Really?
And so I wrote a note. I messaged them. I said, "I'm going to write that review again. Do not delete it." And I wrote it again, and I put at the end, like, I would be really wary about the high reviews this place has because they deleted my review like immediately. And they messaged me like, "We would never do that." I'm like, "What the fuck do you mean?"
So was that on their Facebook's like site on their
it
page?
wasn't like I just commented on their page. Like, their premises had a Facebook page, and it had like public reviews. And surely restaurants can't just delete them. They must have reported it.
Well, I guess that's the thing to bring up with Yelp, right? Is that the idea of it being supposedly, a fucking neutral what's the word? Neutral venue. But you know what I mean? It's like, it's supposed to be impartial.
Yeah.
Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah,
impartial.
It's there for the reviewer and the business themselves. It's like a form of advertising.
For the common man to give their views.
Yeah.
On the local chippy.
Yeah, I think the reason why we're kind of focusing more on Yelp and the community within Yelp as opposed to Trustpilot and other things like that is because, bringing it back to what George said at the beginning, which was this level of entitlement that some people have with it, where there are top class, so to speak, Yelp reviewers, and there's people who follow them and take their word for it, almost like, an actual critic would. But they don't really...
Do they?
Yeah,
100%.
But they don't really happen so much on these other review platforms. But
So is Yelp like the elite review platform then?
I think, there's a thing called Yelp Elite, which is when you become an elite reviewer on Yelp, and you have to go through certain hurdles to become a Yelp elite or whatever.
Yeah,
even the terminology, like, it kind of shows what sort of a system it is where, this isn't like, you're verified or you're a trusted reviewer. It's like, you're an elite, you're special, you're important. The restaurant should give special treatment to you.
I think the reason we chose Yelp over some of the other sort of similar sites like TripAdvisor, etc., is that it does seem like an actual, it's a social media site. It's something like TripAdvisor. It's like you click on it to see what cafe around you is there that is okay and how much it costs. Whereas Yelp, it seems to be much more focused on the actual like Yelper itself.
Yeah,
and I think the person who is giving you their recommendations, and like if you click on someone's profile on Yelp, it's actual, most of the times it's them, it's their real name and like photograph and their information. It is like if you click on a a critic's column in on an online like newspaper or journal or something like that.
Yeah,
it's kind of
they'll have
more
big
focused on the person than the venue.
They'll have like big albums of photos that they've taken at places and like actual information about them. I guess Trustpilot, as like the sorry, why do I keep saying Trustpilot? That's like a shop thing. What's the other one? TripAdvisor.
TripAdvisor, yeah.
I guess that's more serves, I think, as just like a directory where, like Kaylin said, if you just want like somewhere to eat in your area, you'll probably find it on there. But Yelp seems to, I mean, it's not even just restaurants. Yelp is seeming just like any location, and someone could just like review it.
Yeah, that was one of the big things I was surprised when I looked at it, because I just had the impression that it was like exclusively like restaurants. I think we've all seen like the South Park episode where it's like specifically based on food and like eateries.
But
Yelp,
actually.
Yeah, I actually haven't. So you're
really?
gonna have to cover what exactly happens.
We can talk about it later. It's just like but it's very much a focus on the idea of like a person having the sense of self-entitlement that they are like a trusted food critic, when in fact they're just someone else, and the joke is that they're all the same, even though
So I was going to ask, is that what you guys were talking about when you said entitlement, like that the reviewers, when they go to the restaurant, they expect special treatment because they can ruin you?
Yeah,
In a way.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Sure. Like I want to we don't pay attention to Yelp, but I work as part-time in a cafe and have done for a lot of my life, and getting a negative review on like a TripAdvisor or a complaint or something like that is taken like pretty seriously, because it is a big effect on how people view your cafe or restaurant. It's like if people search for it and you don't have like a dedicated website, which a lot of the smaller places don't, the first thing that pops up is a Yelp or a Google like review system, and if it's bad, you just get like donked right to the bottom and then go to someone else nearby.
It has
a big impact
sure
on small businesses, like for sure.
Yeah. I'm not sure about you guys, but when I am curious about going to like a restaurant or something, or say I want to order some food from somewhere, I am drawn to more negative reviews as opposed to a large flood of very positive reviews.
I will literally look for the negative reviews.
Yeah, so they carry so much weight in like I work kind of in online retail, so that's where I'm bringing up Trustpilot, because they review websites basically, and so all the floods of good reviews will just completely ignore basically. But if there's one bad one, it's like all hands on deck, and everyone will be focusing on it. They do carry a lot of weight just in like a day-to-day like maintenance level of a business. Yeah,
it's so much power in anybody's hands if they're just willing to do it. And it's crazy, because I mean, if there's one bad review that says something that could just be like totally wrong, or like the person had like a really bad experience, the only other thing that would make me like not believe that is when the restaurant themselves replies, and then even then it's down to a match of like, who do I believe more? Like I saw quite a funny one. It was like a takeaway place, and somebody saying like, I ordered the food and I threw up straight away. Horrible, disgusting. I never order it. Yeah, I never order it again. And then the actual restaurant replied and was like, Sarah, my dear, you ordered a mixed kebab just for yourself, which is for like 3 people. And if you ate that all in one sitting, like no wonder you'd be sick. And it creates such a weird dynamic between the restaurant and like the customers. Like, is there any other situation like that?
No,
like other than reviews?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like I was going to say that there's a place in Brighton that had like, it made me respect them a lot more, because they had the opposite of the usual, like trying to like the customer is always right, which we'll probably talk a bit more about later. But yeah, someone wrote a complaint about, I guess I'll say it because it's sort of in the public knowledge, but Marwood's Bar and Coffee House, which is in Brighton. And he basically, a lot of people that find it a very dividing place. It sticks to its guns and its style, which can be not to everyone's taste. That's my own little Yelp review there for you. But he said on his social media, he complained about it, basically, about it being like a young person's place, and it's the style wasn't his taking. And the Marwood Facebook account just replied and said, "You, sir, are a miserable cunt. Stick to Greg's."
Oh my god.
Amazing. That's like a true fuck you to the idea of like being an online armchair critic. And it got covered in like local news, and most people were pretty like fair play, you know.
I do
Really,
respect
like,
that.
with the company.
Yeah, I do respect that so much more than pushing out some, I don't know, some pre-written thing. It's like, we're so sorry you had such a bad experience with us. Because, I mean, to go back to what David said about customers always rate stuff, it is bullshit made up by like a bunch of people like in an office somewhere to make customers feel at home and stuff like that.
Well, I don't know, like, you want your customer to feel, if you want to make money, you want the customer to come back.
For sure, but you don't want to give them like free shit because they're complaining that their coffee is fucking like too not hot enough when, you know.
The point is, like, if you go to a nice restaurant and you order a meal and you're like, fuck, I don't like this, they will usually offer you another meal. Like, you can say that, I don't like this, could I have this other thing on the menu? They'll do that without charge most of the time. And that's like not, you know, that's probably not the most economical decision, but you're going to come back and you're going to tell people about it.
Yeah, I don't know. They only do that at like the more expensive restaurants.
Well, that's what I mean. Like fancy restaurants will do it. If you go to Nando's or something, they probably tell you to fuck off. Actually, to be honest, those restaurants like Nando's
have so
probably
much chicken. Yeah, they would be like, "Fuck it, take 2 more." You know.
Yeah, exactly. Those
give these away for free.
Restaurants probably don't give a shit because they're just like throwing out the fucking door.
I can remember one time at McDonald's, I was like, we're missing like 1 portion of chips from our order, and they gave us the entire order again. It's just like, fuck it, just take all of it, you know? Like, none of this means anything to us. I think I'm more so like mean in terms of like, again, like this Yelp review thing where someone will go in on maybe like basically being like in a bad place at a bad time, and they'll give you like a 1-star review, and then, you know, your whole rating goes down as a result. I guess that's a bigger problem with rating scales in general and how much of a like big deal that is, not just for restaurants. I mean, we see it in video games as well with like Metacritic and things like that.
Well, it's not like you're like, you know, we mentioned a bit earlier, people tend to write bad reviews because that's when they're going to write a review, I think. I mean, just for me at least. Yeah. And it's not like you're going to be like, yeah, it was actually pretty decent, so I'm going to give this like 3.5 stars. Like that's, I feel, probably like the rarest review.
Yeah.
Because normally if I'm writing reviews, I'm giving that shit 1 star and I'm fucking pissed.
Yeah.
Dude, I've written literally like 2 reviews in my life.
They're always 1 or 5 stars, right?
It was like 1 star.
Yeah.
Both of them. It was one time was that one I told you about, and the other time was I had a fucking pizza in Canada, and it was really expensive, and it tasted incredibly similar to a British kebab shop pizza, and looked like it. And I was like, I've never seen, like a large march, and I was like, holy shit! Like, it's actually kind of amazing how much they've got this down, but it was like $20 for this pizza, so I was like, fuck.
Christ! Oh my god.
So I wrote that review. Okay. And they came back with an angry response, I think.
I can imagine in that. I can imagine in that kind of review, you probably went into a bit more depth of like why it was an issue though. When some people just be like, I didn't like it, 1 star out of 5 or 10 or whatever, and then like that's it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like the weird thing with Yelp is that you find like a real like disparity in the reviews, and I don't know how the algorithm works, but I assume if you're a trusted reviewer, it treats your reviews in your score ranking in a better way than if you just plonk down a 1 star, this is bullshit kind of thing. Whereas like, because you get those few like line reviews that are just like, I was hungry and I went there and it was really nice, really filling, like 4 stars. And others it's like fucking like 5 paragraphs like describing like the best restaurant they ever went to in Paris, like comparing their local fish and chip shop to that.
There's a lot of
kind of like weird
negative ones which are like that as well though, where they will tell you a whole fucking story. We were on a day out trip in
I love those ones. Those are the best ones.
We wanted a bite to eat, so we entered so and so restaurant, and I was disgusted. And they would go on and on and on. And this is kind of what I mean, where it's like they expect everything to like just be perfect, seemingly. Like,
my favorite thing in those reviews is like, if the food is bad, it's kind of like they'll just be like, oh, the food is was bad, not tasted. But if the staff are like rude, like lazy, or like look a bit too alternative for their liking, those are the best reviews, when they just like shitting on the people. The chef is rude because you were being a dick customer to them. Like, fuck off. Like, do something better with your time. Like,
if the chef was rude, I wouldn't be like, this place is terrible. I would just be like, this guy is a dick.
Yeah. But the thing
Like,
with
I wouldn't-
professional reviewers, right? They only go to a select few places. They tend to tell the people that they're coming, and I guess that's what the Yelp is the opposite of, right? It gives you the actual likelihood of what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Because I don't want
Yeah.
to just shit on Yelp, because I actually do think it does some good things. I do think it serves a purpose, but it is very it's very weird when something like this isn't I don't know. It's not truly independent, is it? Let's be honest. We want to think it's somewhere for your average Joe to just give their opinion, but any sort of online forum place, social media, it is still run by a company, by a group of people, and Yelp is itself a business, so it is everything there has to have a bit of a pinch of salt with it, I think.
Can I read some random reviews that I found from a Yelp Elito?
Go for it.
Yes.
Okay, so I was looking at reviews for Norwich restaurants, and do you remember the Slug and Lettuce? I don't think that's a chain anymore, right?
I remember
I
it.
think it is, isn't it?
I don't know.
Oh, actually, no. It's a completely different thing now, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
now, isn't it? Like gastropub.
I randomly found this American Yelp Elite with a 3-star review on the Norwich Slug and Lettuce, which is closed down now, and he has written. I think he's been with Yelp he's been an Elite for 10 years or something. And he's written 13,215 reviews. That's not...
13,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
However, some of these, right, his 1-star ones are really lacking in effort. And some of them are so strange to the point where it's why would you even bother reviewing them? So he has a couple here, right? Where he goes to a place, and this is one where he just says, "No longer Chinese. It's a Mexican place now."
1 star.
And how
One
many
star
stars?
because of that.
And one star.
So he's reviewed.
But I don't know whether he turned up to this place expecting to have a Chinese meal, or whether he was just passing it or something.
And
Because
he's just ruined the reputation of this restaurant.
Yeah.
But I don't understand. Does it mean is it changed hands and he just didn't know? Somebody told him oh yeah, there's a nice Chinese place, and he
I
goes
guess
there.
so.
And wait, this isn't it. I'm giving this place a 1 star.
1 star.
And another great 1-star review, right? Apparently, it burned down. It's been since demolished. That's it. That's his review.
Talk about nail to the coffin. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
exactly.
Yeah. But this is on this guy's profile is where I discovered that there's other reviews that aren't just restaurants. So this guy, he reviews a gas station, right? After checking 3 different pumps and finding that they had bags on them, and then the reservoirs for the squeegees were dry, I departed this dismal gas station and moved on.
That's the whole review.
Yeah.
What a fucking nerd.
1 star.
It's a little story. That's it. That's like you said. It's this beautiful little story where he went in, found the squeegees were dry. It ruined his day.
Yeah, 1 star.
He couldn't go complain to anyone in real life because they don't want to be around him because he talks like that. So he has to go on the internet and write his little piece.
So is it
Add
a
it to
blog
the fucking
then?
3,000.
No, not really. It's just him. It's almost like he just... I can imagine he's just driving around in his car or something. He sees a place which might be on Yelp and he writes a little review about it. Here's one
You
for...
don't think he even visits?
I don't think so. Well, here's one for a post office, right? I didn't care for this post office. The parking lot has a difficult exit back on Ballantine Commons, and there's no drive-through drop. Do I really have to get out of my car to drop this letter into the box? Apparently so. 1 star.
I guess that's an American thing because I've never heard of a drive-through
it is
post
American.
office.
But it's 1 star because you have to get out of your fucking car to go put it in a box.
Yeah, 1 star. This place is fucking awful.
Yeah, it's a post office.
Yeah. Also, post boxes
why review
exist.
the post office?
So do you think he's an elite reviewer just because he's reviewed 1 million places?
Well, I'm sure he passed the specifications, whatever it was. I mean, he has a lot of... There's these other things on these profiles called compliments, where people, I guess, compliment their reviews or whatever. And this guy has had numerous review of the day and things like this, or
really?
first to review, and people congratulate him on that and things
Seriously?
like that. Yeah.
Where does he live?
America somewhere. I didn't take down his name. Yeah, but he got a compliment from someone saying, "I religiously like all your stuff all day, every day, and you only vote on one thing for me." So, I guess there are people who do follow these people and get recommendations from them. as if his opinion
I
matters.
think it's also like what David's saying, like a story. Like people probably follow their favorite reviewers as like an, like you would an Instagram.
So like it's a
like,
Facebook timeline or something.
Yeah, and especially when he's like weaving these narratives about what he's doing throughout the day that led up to visiting this random post office. Like, I wonder what he's trying to post. Maybe he bought a gift from a previous place, and he, could figure that out.
So maybe his son's not going to get his birthday card because he couldn't be asked to get out the fucking car. Like,
I love reading reviews, though. I actually love reading bad reviews.
I agree. Yeah, Amazon bad reviews are a haven to behold. Like.
Just to go back to the guy, do you think like when you get to that point of being a Yelp eliter and you've got like fucking 13,000 reviews, do you just review anything? Because why not, right? Fucking
That's
another
what
one
I mean.
on the pile.
Yeah, like do you say, oh, this week I'm going to be reviewing so and so restaurant, because I've heard good things about it, or it's just
on your Twitter or whatever, or is it just purely Yelp, like and Yelp friends?
Is it just like I was in Wendy's the other day, so I'm going to review it?
I just like clicked on because I just wanted to see, like I was writing in Norwich into Yelp, you can like the Norwich Cathedral pops up, and you can go down and be like 3-star review. This is a beautiful building, well worth a look. The garden at the rear is peaceful. Like,
was that a review?
Yeah. Like,
and it got 3 stars.
3 stars,
That sounds like
for
a 5-star
the Norwich
day.
Cathedral, like a beautiful. No, sorry. This is just someone.
Stars.
This is just someone random. I'm just like saying like. You can
people
go on
who...
anything, and it's like, is there a review for it? Like,
imagine the people who built that so long ago just to have their crafts work like built down to a 3-star
yeah,
review.
Sorry, 2008 doesn't hold up. Like to get the 5 stars.
It's alright, this cathedral. Like fucking hell. Well, amazing. So I mean, so we were talking earlier about sort of the negative impact these things have on businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that kind of outweighs the consumer, like pro-consumer angle that we were talking about how we look at reviews before we go somewhere? Do you think these are a good thing? I know a lot of restaurants want this like gone. Because you can have all the nice branding outside your restaurant and stuff like that and have a really nice shop front, but people aren't going to go there if they've heard it's fucking shit off Yelp.
I think this is like a weirdly like UK and America thing. I think in like, I don't know, from what I gather in a lot of like European countries and stuff, like they don't have this sort of relationship with like food eateries, if we want to like focus on that rather than the other, like the cathedrals and stuff. Like I think it's very much a really weird like thing that we have in like English and American culture. I don't know if it's just being a critic or if it's just that idea of like being an influencer or like the fact that your opinion actually matters when it doesn't really. And it's this weird thing where it's like the customer is always right, and then the businesses are willing to bend over backwards to accommodate you. Like my girlfriend's Italian, and when I went to visit there, the idea is the attitude is so different. It's like the attitude is if a customer comes in and doesn't like what you do, fuck them, because what you do is good and they're an idiot and they shouldn't, we don't want your business if you don't appreciate what we do. I don't know if that's just because the quality is better or just the attitude, but it's fine. Like you can't complain in a fucking Italian restaurant and get a meal for free because they know you're, they know better than you. Like they are the professionals.
David, you've worked in like food service cafe stuff for a while. Do you ever get those customers who come in there trying to scam?
Oh, all the time. Like we get
what do
people.
Do? Like, give us an account.
Like the classic is the coffee is like too hot or not hot enough, and they'll get a free one. Yeah. Someone will drink someone will sit and
cool
wait.
down.
Like no. Like someone will sit and wait for like 5-10 minutes and talk on their phone, drink half their coffee, and then come back and be like, "Oh, can you heat this up? It's a little cold." And it's like, "Oh man, we've got to make you a new one because we have no way of heating it up." And they know it. They know they just want the more coffee. It's really irritating.
Can you heat this up?
I think it's like I'd love to be like like how it is in Italy from what I've gathered, because you just want to be able to tell fuck off.
It does seem like an Italian thing actually.
Yeah.
Like from a lot of like episodes of Kitchen Nightmares where Ramsay goes into like Italian family restaurants, and it is almost all of them are them freaking out at the customers saying they don't know shit about cooking food and stuff like that.
It's a weird one. I think like personally Yelp specifically is a bit like sus. I'm not sure.
How so?
Like,
in terms of like the moderation stuff? Or?
Yeah. I'm not sure I don't really trust that many reviews online nowadays. Like I think they were maybe like, 10 years ago, pretty good, but now it's so bombarded with like the potential of fake reviews. Like Kaylin, you said, like reviews getting deleted, influencers and buying reviews. Like I think it's good to go into a place that you're like, okay, I've heard this place is good from either friends, family, or like actual trusted critics, and you have a little look on the TripAdvisor or the Yelp to see, maybe see how pricey it is and like where it is and like what like good stuff's near you. It's got a purpose for that sort of thing. But as like a trusted, like, a source of it annoys me. Like I'm struggling to get my words out because it's so annoying. The idea that like someone's opinion like that I don't know. It's a weird one.
Can matter so much.
It's not that it's not because obviously everyone's opinion matters, but when it's treated with a sense of like expertise, like anything like that always annoys me. The idea that like the common like man's view is better than an expert's is just like fuck the critics, and I hate it. Like it's just so annoying.
There's where I used to work, there was this dude, and I think I might have mentioned this to you before, but I think it was like his cousin or something owned this restaurant around the corner, and I was like, oh, and so he'd always like have menus around the office and shit, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll check that out at some point, and I was like, let me just Google it, and I look at the fucking reviews for this place. I'm looking at it right now. It has 184 reviews, and it is the fakest fucking thing. So it's just like literally hundreds of fucking reviews by people who this is the only review they've written, and it's all like excellent taste, good value, hygiene, great, economic price tag, very delicious food. Don't miss this place. Lovely food and delicious meals, amazing service, delicious food, better service and delicious food. And it's just like, what is this?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Even like Metacritic, for all its faults, is actual professional critics, right? They may be of the IGN like quality, but it's still people who are paid to do that job. This isn't like just some guy. It's it's a weird one.
I mean, I think the user rating on like Metacritic, I mean, not to go too off topic, almost has a bigger weight to it now than the critic one. But yeah.
But what I will say, because I'm ragging on Yelp, is that I do think it is a pretty like cool community for the people who get into it and actually go on the Yelp Talks shit. Like, it's like I think they have a bit more of self-awareness about them, about what like Yelp is.
Wait, you think that the people who are like really deep into Yelp
they don't like see themselves as critics.
Yeah, I think they know what Yelp is, and like they've gone through the other side of it. You know what I mean?
I don't know. There's a big side of me that thinks that it's just all gone to their head at that point, and they are looking like that guy that Don showed us, where he is just looking for any opportunity to whip out his phone and write, 500 words about the highway that he just went down, and like how good the gravel is, like. I think there is a certain point where it gets to the ridiculous level where it's like, why are you like, did you need to write a review about this?
Yes.
Like, I
of course, the people need to know, George.
But
what if someone needs to use that post box, but is has mobility issues?
I mean, that's true, but I mean, surely that should be like, properly posted by the company itself. But even then, do you guys think that every single visit of a restaurant or something is like worthy of like review, or do you think it should only be like the good and bad?
Yeah, I definitely don't think like everything needs to be noted upon, and I do think some of it comes down to just people wanting to make something of interest of whatever it is that they're doing and trying to have some kind of influence in something by not exaggerating, but like I don't know, making kind of like going back to these big long stories of someone going to a restaurant one night on their lovely evening out, in the town or whatever, just to make everything a bit more grand and important than it actually is.
But I think that that's a good time to talk about the idea of like the media days and like the influencer sort of side of it, because I was going to say that the whole influencer side to it is pretty big to like businesses. Like again, where I've worked is they've like offered people free meals to basically come sit, like have like a coffee and some food and just fucking like take some pictures and Instagram it or Snapchat it. So it's like it's not like, I don't think these guys get paid for it, but like, yeah, they definitely get some free meals and some fucking perks. Like, for
I think that's
sure.
what the Yelp elite thing is. I think they get invited to some form of event type of thing for something. I mean, they're not paid or whatever, but they do gain some kind of like invitation to something, you know.
It's this weird like symbiotic fucking relationship where like the restaurant and Yelp gets to feel, well, the Yelpers get to feel like important because, you know, they're getting a free meal. The restaurant gets some free advertising essentially at the cost of a meal, and the person gets some content as well for their fucking social media. It's just this weirdly thing. Sorry, what did you say, Kaden?
The restaurants set up.
Sorry, say that again.
Is it the restaurants that are setting up media days or what?
Well, like yeah. Well, I was going to say, sorry for the one that I saw. It was just the restaurant contacted some influencers, offering them free meals in order to promote their restaurant. Like, well, not explicitly to promote, but to give them a free meal. And you know, you're going to say good things so you can get more of those free meals.
What were you going to say, George?
Also, Yelp themselves sets up their own like Yelp review day where they will contact, like, people who work for Yelp will contact opening businesses to set up like a review day, so that like Yelp elites can come in and do reviews.
Oh my god, so you have a restaurant full of these fucking Yelp elites.
Yeah.
Can you imagine anything more stressful for like the humble waiter? He's literally like the fucking, like, if you fuck this order up, our restaurant's gonna go down the pan. Like, literally, it's all on today.
2-star reviews and we're over.
Do you guys think that, like, do you think it's more nervous to have like an influencer or to have like an actual restaurant critic?
Because, an influencer these days.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
I think it's the opposite, because I think they're kind of in on it, like in the terms of this, like, I'm getting something out. We're both going to get something out of this, so let's not fuck this relationship up by, you know, saying or doing anything that could ruin it. Whereas I think like a professional critic for, you know, like a major publication or a newspaper probably has a bit more impartiality to them and a bit more
I can't
expertise.
imagine how much pretentious dickheads these are, though. Like, imagine being like the Guardian food reviewer.
Hey, Jay Rayner
like
is
Telegraph.
a god, Caden.
I don't know who that is.
How is he any different from these Yelp elites? What does he do?
Well, I guess at the real core of it, he's not, right. It's just that his writing ability and critical ability have been recognized by professional publishing like circles, and he's got jobs on, you know, TV, in the Guardian and other like outlets who like publish his books. Whereas fucking like Charlie, the Yelp eliter, no one's paying him to like appear on MasterChef.
That's true, yeah. You could get like, I feel for a lot of these, you know, Yelp elites or something, if you just give them like some food that looks really good that they can take some nice pictures of, then their fans will be happy. Then it's a lot easier than if you get the guy from Ratatouille coming in, or the Michelin star meal.
Yeah.
I think like this one thing that this reminded me of, it wasn't Yelp. I think it was TripAdvisor. So a guy from Vice did a prank where he got his like a fake restaurant to be the number one TripAdvisor establishment. It's called the Shed in Dulwich, and it was like all lies. He just got his friends to post reviews. It became the number one, like the highest rated TripAdvisor restaurant. And then he did one day where he like fucking blindfolded some people, took them through to his garden, served them like ready meals from Iceland, and they loved it. Because the fucking
they were saying it was like the nicest tasting food they've ever had.
Yeah, because the hype just gets into you. Have you guys seen this trend on YouTube where it's like going to Yelp's worst reviewed X? Like, there's a guy who did it originally where he'd go to the worst Yelp reviewed like hotel and like Chinese restaurant and stuff, and he'd go to some like grim fucking places.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. But now there's this new Vice series that's actually really hilarious where he goes to... I watched one today where he goes to a talent agency that's like He's like New York's worst rated talent agency. It's a massive scam, like huge scam. And they're like dressing him up in all these different outfits. Like, here's you as like a game show host, and is taking pictures of him. Like, I think these shots look great. Like, we love your look. And some of the people they've said this to, like, obviously could never be models.
Yeah.
And they'll just get anyone. You pay like $500 and they'll do it. And he does like driving instructors, worst reviewed driving instructors, like masseuses, all the dating coaches.
There's so much of that shit, isn't there? Like fucking the old scams.
Yeah. I guess it kind of goes back to what we were saying, where it is a symbiotic relationship. These like a lot of these people, especially influencers who are like writing reviews and stuff, that's their thing. That's their content. That's how they like make money. And for a lot of the time, it needs to be entertaining or shocking or like looks really pretty or something. And it's just kind of weird that restaurants right now are like having to work for that. They have to make their like unicorn frappuccinos that have like a cupcake coming out on top because it looks really good on Instagram.
Yeah, it's weird because like again, going back to Brighton, there was a place Chocky Wocky Doodah, which is like super famous, and it even had like a TV show about it. It's like this. It was a chocolatier, I guess is the word. I don't really know, but they used to make these like incredible sculptures out of chocolate, and the shop looked like fucking like a little like fucking Willy Wonka's like chocolate land with fucking like crazy chocolate sculptures, and people just didn't fucking buy anything. Like, there was a little cafe upstairs, but people just walk in, take pictures of the shit, and maybe buy, like, a cheap bag of chocolates and leave, and the place just went fucking bust. Like, and it's gone now.
Chocky Wocky Doodah's gone bust.
It's gone, yeah. It doesn't exist anymore.
In London as well, or just the
what
one?
are you going to do with a giant chocolate statue of,
Dude,
fucking
that place looked
Matt Lucas or whatever?
Yeah.
That place looked disgusting. Like, I'm sorry, but I went in there, it's like gross, like, piled chocolate on it. Like, ugh, mate. I don't get it.
I mean,
I guess they are closed. Yeah.
Well, it looked good. That was the thing. It looked fucking good.
It didn't look good.
They made a TV show about it, and it doesn't exist. Like,
did you say it was closed?
Yeah, it closed down.
I just googled it. Yeah,
let's go give it a 1-star review for being closed.
Yeah.
It was just minging, dude.
To dive back into the Yelp community in particular, there is actually beyond the reviews, there's Yelp Talk.
Oh yeah.
Which is basically a forum about anything on Yelp. I guess it's kind of past its use by date now, because who posts in like typical online forums anymore? But amidst these forum topics, there is relationships and dating on Yelp. So I found some some people who have been posting about relationships and dating on Yelp, including ones which are just like almost like Craigslist-esque type of ads, which is funny because it's on Yelp. So there's this one that I just had where it's just, "Hi people, just in bed." That's the post.
On Yelp, did they give a star? Did they say how many stars?
There was no comments on this one. Yeah.
Oh my god.
But and some of them, they don't actually use Yelp. Like, they don't review or anything. And like, they haven't been anywhere or like shown anything. It's just they're just posting on these forums like for relationship and dating advice and I guess like to try and meet people or whatever.
Oh wow. I mean, that's so strange. Like, I mean, it has to be like a lot of overflow of people like who are actual reviewers and stuff though, right? And that they like, I guess they probably started off using this forum as a way to talk to other reviewers and talk about like reviewing itself, and then it kind of divulged into a typical social media where people are posting at 3 a.m. asking what sort of cookies people like and stuff.
Because it is actually quite when I was trying to look for just like say top reviewers per se, I don't know if you guys had this issue, but it's actually just really hard to like find them.
Yeah, I wanted to look at like the number one Yelp elite, like, and it is really hard. You have to like go into the places and just, like,
you have to hope you find a
them.
restaurant which one of them reviewed.
Yeah.
And just
then you like scroll down to see like the most reviews. But it is surprising, like where because they're like 16,000 people review is like weird one. But it's when you get to the people who have like, nearly 2,000 friends and nearly 2,000 reviews, and it's kind of like, what are you doing? Like, Are you trying to get up to that like elite level? You know.
So George, what else is on this thing then? What else is on
Yelp Talk?
It's weird. It's like, as Don said, it's kind of past its prime. Looking at it recently, you'll see a lot of the same names crop up. And yeah, I guess it's not like very thriving, but I remember it from a long time ago, and it was always seen in like, I don't know, images online and stuff of like people just being outraged, talking about like, oh, I can't believe, like, I think I saw one like a long time ago, people saying like, oh, I can't believe that like people don't take reviewers seriously anymore. You know how much work it goes into like writing these reviews, and like even people talking about like how restaurants like should treat them, like saying like, oh, I've been a Yelp elite reviewer for like 2 years now, and sometimes when I go into restaurants I have to tell the staff straight away because like nowadays they wouldn't know like who a Yelp reviewer is. And yeah, it's like it's so much entitlement, and it's just like this big echo chamber of reviewers who also like want to talk about reviewing itself, like, and their influence and stuff. It's it's so strange, and I think it's something that like nobody would ever like stumble upon and use as a social media like organically, especially not now.
Yeah, a lot of these posts that I've looked through, these like various forum like topics, I guess, like a lot of them are very old or just haven't had any posts like this year even. So
yeah, but what do you think about that? Like, do you think that reviewers should tell the restaurant that they're like a big reviewer, or do you think they should just have like the authentic
if they
experience?
want it's more about their own experience then, right? Because they want to go in there and then get some free shit or get an extra good meal, but that's then not a very accurate representation of the restaurant. So it's not very consumer friendly. But I guess it's
as someone who's
real deal.
Yeah, as someone who's actually done this kind of work, it is like it's weird because you get two very different like responses. Like you get the usual like everyday customer thing, which can be good, but then when you review somewhere like badly because of it, they tend to get a bit pissy, and they kind of like give you the whole, well, we could, let us know next time and we'll make sure we're at our best. And it's kind of like, that's a fair point, but also you should be at your like average should be of a quality that is like reasonable and like doesn't won't be able to exclude you from whatever work I'm doing. But on the other hand, if you do go in and once you're known to be doing having some influence in whatever food or drink scene you are, I'm trying to be very careful to not give anything away, you do get treated differently. You do get offered free stuff. You do get like a little sit down and a chat with the owner. Like you do get to just feel important. And I could definitely get the appeal of like someone who isn't a professional doing that sort of thing. If you just want to like a little taste of that world, but then you get the little taste of the world without the actual work. Like the idea of someone thinking that like a 4-paragraph review on Yelp is like serious work clearly has no idea like what actually writing reviews or like doing actual writing or like publications entails, because it's like not that at all. Like you don't just get to go and eat and drink in nice places. There's a lot of fucking stressful shit that goes along with it. Writing, like making your Yelp score go up, is not that. And I think that's what separates the like professional critics and the Yelpers, because a professional critic's like a livelihood like rests on his ability or her ability to be a trusted critic, right? Like Yelper is like so what? It's like your hobby, Maybe if you're an influencer, it has a bit more of an impact on your livelihood. But like a professional critic is a professional critic. That's their job. Like that's what they do. And yeah,
I guess they'll have also a certain vocabulary when talking about things where maybe some things are a bit more scathing when they're talking about certain specific stuff, like the taste of food, just because I guess they know how to describe certain things.
And that's it.
Instead of just like, I visited this place and it was shit.
Because like fucking Jay Rayner walks into a restaurant, they know like who he is because they'll see him and go, oh, that's Joe Rayner, or like that's whoever the fuck it is, because they know that world. Whereas like, of course, fucking Jeff from Swansea, the Yelper, isn't going to get recognised. Like when he walks into the fucking Slug and Lettuce in Norwich. Like,
do you know who I am?
Yeah.
But what do people want? Like, if it's just like a random person looking at their local kebab place to see if it's any good, I don't know. I don't feel like they're gonna want to read through like 3 paragraphs of eloquently put together sentences, that describes the mouthfeel of each
the
bite.
chips.
Nah, they just look at the fucking like 5 stars. They'll look at the low ratings to see if anyone's got food poisoning.
Yeah.
If not, happy days.
Yeah, to be fair, that's the kind of thing I would be looking for on a place like that, as opposed to like the vibe of the pizza place or whatever.
For me, it is more like, what kind of... it might not even be like, is it good or bad, but like, is it what I'm after? Like,
yeah.
Is it, is this a thin crust pleb pizza?
That's true.
Is this a thick boy? So that's the kind of thing I'd be thinking of.
I guess that comes back into, whether you should be looking at the rating or whether actually reading the text or whatever. Because if it's bad because someone thought they were getting a thick boy but they got a thin boy instead, then there's not really much of a complaint.
Unless it's the Gordon Ramsay, like, kitchen fucking nightmares, thin crust Denver pizza.
Well, does anyone have any final thoughts on Yelp?
I rate Yelp 3.5 stars.
Out of 5.
Out of 3.5. Perfect.
Okay, well, that's a pretty good review. Al, how about you guys? Any last thoughts?
I don't know. It's just fucking kind of lame, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
it's just not cool.
To summarize it, yeah.
Nah, it's shit. It's stupid. And I don't know, like, apart from these wankers who are very entitled, I just think it's kind of a bit toxic as well, because I've just in my experience, I've only ever written them and I was really pissed off. So
Yeah.
I think that generally the reviews are a bit skewed, and you miss out all those people who've gone there and had a good experience.
Yeah.
I don't
The
think
most
I don't
impassioned
think
ones are the complaints, for
yeah.
sure.
I don't think Yelp is a. I don't want to be too hard on it, even though I clearly have a disdain for it as a someone who's worked in the industry and has done like professional reviews and like critics of like places. But it is just like, I don't know. Don't do it. Like leave it to people who actually it's their livelihoods and they actually know what the fuck they're doing. Like,
unless you get food poisoning or something, rate that shit on
yeah.
Yeah. If something's actually gone wrong, as opposed to it's like your evening's been slightly soured, then I want to hear about it. But like, I don't know, if you're like fucking pie was a bit cold, then who cares?
If the staff was like on their phone as you walked in and it gave you a bad atmosphere, like whatever.
Yeah.
And don't if a restaurant is like 4.75 stars and another restaurant is like 4.5 stars, like I don't know, just choose a better logo or something. That doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say before I got blinded by my anger. Is that I just don't think Yelp is a trusted source of like, of a review. Like it just isn't. I don't trust the stars.
Well, yeah.
Don't trust the stars.
Don, do we have any social media?
Yeah, of course. You can follow us on Twitter at Under the Heat Lamp Podcast, and you could email us at heatlamppodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, and go to our website, which links to the Twitter.
Oh, yeah, of course. What's that, George? What's the exact website?
It's just undertheheatlamp.com. Really simple.
There, we got that URL, bitch, and we're paying out the nose, so come sponsor us.
Are we paying for that?
Yeah, we all sent George an amount of money.
Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah. We all did send him an amount of money.
Yeah, and now we got that sweet URL. So, bye from us, guys. Hope you're staying safe, and write us a good review. Yeah. By the way, like despite all we've said about reviews, it would actually really help us if you wrote us a good review. If you didn't like it, just fuck off and don't write a review. That's fine. Just don't say anything. All right?
No, I want a 1-star review from all of the Yelpers that we've shat on.
We actually messed ourselves up a lot because
We
they're
should have
the
just
ones who are
said-
going to review.
Yeah.
That's true,
they're
yeah.
most likely
Wait,
to
okay.
review.
Like, can the like thumbnail be like Yelp, the best website that we've ever?
Yeah.
We love
Well, maybe
Yelpers. Give
David,
us a
when you're
soundbite.
editing this, you could edit all the parts where we said anything negative about Yelp out, and it'll be like a 5-second podcast.
Just a fucking mess.
Yeah. All right. So bye, guys.
Love you.
Bye.
Farewell.
Yeah.